Well, on now to our second debate. It was always known as an unholy merger, but now with the Enforcement Directorate questioning Praful Patel, serious questions are being asked on the merger of Indian Airlines and Air India at a time when the NCP leader was the Civil Aviation Minister. The allegations are serious. Mr. Patel made a bad business decision in the merger of the two airlines, which was financially disastrous. And secondly, that he was allegedly bribed to give away key routes of Air India on profitable sectors to airlines in the Gulf. We did try to reach out to Mr. Patel or the NCP or in fact the Congress. They do not want to comment on the allegations. To get a clear idea of what the allegations are, we'll try and bring out many graphics and details, but I am joined at this stage by Captain S.S. Panessa, the former Director of Flight Safety from Indian Airlines. Thanks so very much for being with us. Lalita Kumaramangalam still with us. Captain Mohan Ranganathan, the air safety expert, joins us as well, and Pooja Mehra with us still. Do we have Arvind Gunasekara at this stage? Okay, we'll try and get Arvind Gunasekara with us in just a few moments to bring us an idea of what exactly the allegations by the Enforcement Directorate are. But let me go across to Captain Mohan Ranganathan first. Sir, thanks very much for being with us. One of the key points, Captain Ranganathan, is this, that the merger of Air India and Indian Airlines should never have happened. Okay, we've lost that line. Let me ask you that question. The merger of these two airlines should never have happened because the cultures of the two airlines dramatically different, and therefore there's something suspicious. Did you always feel that to be the case?
Vishnu, I would like to tell you something very serious. Government appointed two high-level committees, Tata Committee and Kelkar Committee, regarding merger. They said merger of these two giants will be the killer. Don't merge these airlines. You can have a common MD or separate deputy, but do not merge this airline. But when this our Honorable Mr. Praful Patel, his ambition was to merge both the airlines for reason known best to him. He hired a company known as Accenture Company by giving a lot of bribes and all that.
No, but sir, be careful with these allegations. These are, there could be legal consequences.
That company, they paid the money for merger.
Yes.
And the company report was that first few months it may be a loss, but then with synergy, the profits will gain like anything.
Right.
2007, when merger took place, the CAG report itself confirmed that both the airlines made a profit of 200 crores approximately. In 2000 crores, we are in a profit of 200 crores. Now we are in loss of 55,000 crores.
Okay.
Nobody is answerable. Nobody is accountable in the ministry.
Okay.
It is only the ministry and the bureaucrats who misinterpret rules for the political masters.
Yes.
And they do all these decisions and all that.
Okay, so 1 second. I want to go across to my colleague Arvind Gunasekara, who joins us now on the phone line. Arvind, what are the key allegations made by the Enforcement Directorate, which is questioning the former Civil Aviation Minister?
Vishnu, the Enforcement Directorate is probing two cases because they themselves, Enforcement Directorate, can't probe any cases. In fact, they have taken cognizance of 3 FIRs by the Central Bureau of Investigation and they have registered 2 ECIRs. That is, they are probing 2 money laundering allegations in this entire case. First case is regarding the role of Deepak Talwar. In fact, the Enforcement Directorate has already filed a charge sheet in which they have said that Deepak Talwar, using his contact with Praful Patel, who was the then Civil Aviation Minister, secured profitable air traffic rights for 3 foreign airlines. So that is the first allegation which the Enforcement Directorate is probing. Second one, regarding the role of Praful Patel, during his tenure, there was a decision to purchase around 111 aircraft for the national air carrier. So even in that second matter is also being probed by the Enforcement Directorate. Both are regarding the money laundering cases. In fact, yesterday, Praful Patel was questioned for around over 8 hours. Today, the questioning went for around 9 hours. What we are hearing from our sources in the Enforcement Directorate is that they have again summoned Praful Patel to join the investigation tomorrow around 10:30 a.m. And tomorrow, they would continue with the interrogation regarding the second case. That is, the decision to purchase 111 aircraft for the national air carrier. In fact, the CAG has questioned the rationale behind this purchase of 111 aircraft for the national air carrier. What our sources in the Enforcement Directorate are saying that they have unearthed some evidences showing that Praful Patel at the last moment he tweaked the terms of condition favoring the private companies, causing a huge loss to the public sector.
Okay, one moment, Arvind. We'll try and come back to you in a little while from now. We did try and reach out to Praful Patel to be a part of this program, but he declined to be. As I just want to put that out there. But Captain Mohan Ranganathan, to the point that Arvind was actually talking about the acquisition of 111 aircraft in 2007-2008, it seemed at one level a great idea that we'd have this one huge airline and that we needed new aircraft because a lot of the aircraft that the airline had, both Indian Airlines and Air India, were very old. But the fact is, nobody could afford 111 aircraft. Till this day, we continue to suffer both on Indian Airlines, in Air India, because it's one merger, because it was just too expensive, this colossal buy.
See, the original board approval was only for 38 aircrafts, 18 medium range and 10 to 17 long range. And that included 340. If you read the CAG report and also one of Praful Patel's statement, he said that the 340 was not, Airbus was going to stop production, and then they were going to introduce, that was the reason why they changed from the 340 to the 777. But if you see the Paris Air Show in 2007, Praful Patel was sitting along with Malia when Kingfisher ordered the 340. So it was that was something that even CAG missed out, that the whole thing was changed from just 10 to 17 aircrafts. They made it 50 long-range aircrafts, which included the 787s and the 777s. And then a few days later, they signed up for the 43 320s and 321s for Indian Airlines. But what is important is the 30th December 2005, when the empowered group of ministers approved, that went to the PMO for the approval of the PM. Then it went back to Air India, and Air India Charters Limited for them to sign, and it was back in Delhi. So how could all that take place in one day? 30th December 2005, when the file has gone from one department to other and signed, and the deal was done. So it was very obvious that something shady. No central government machinery works that fast.
Okay. Pooja, the other key allegation which has been made is of routes, how some of the most profitable routes of Air India, the merged entity, Indian Airlines, Air India, call it what you want, were given to Gulf carriers. And that, I mean, when it comes to airlines, the routes they operate, the rights they have, very much crown jewels. But in this particular case, under Praful Patel, the allegation is that these routes were given away. How is this part of a lot of allegations against him?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of your question?
How is this part of the key allegations against him, routes being given away?
Yeah, so what flying routes an airline enjoys, also what timings, landing rights, bilaterals, there are so many other things, also such as their technical things, such as at what altitude aircrafts fly, that determines how much fuel is spent and therefore costs, and what timings and routes you take determines how much market share you will ultimately own as an airline, because timings are crucial for passenger preferences, flight preferences, and for loyal customers, for loyal passengers. And all of these, the economic analysis of this, if routes are not selected keeping all these things in mind, there can be losses for an airline. And by giving away prime routes to rival airlines, and we have seen, I'm not sure, the investigation will establish what is the role of the minister who is being questioned, former minister, but we have seen that in this period, the Gulf airlines have gained market share on Indian routes, and Air India has not done that well, and it is for the investigating agencies to establish if there is any link at all between those two phenomena.
Lalita Kumaramangalam, do you believe, does the government believe that this is a clear-cut case of corruption, or this was a business deal that went wrong because of poor business decisions? Because the allegations are very strong of a corporate middleman. The allegations are of bribery. The allegations are of giving away routes on the basis of receiving money. The allegations are of questionable business deals on the acquisition of aircraft. There are allegations on the merger itself and the poor business decisions which have been taken. What is this all about? Is this just about poor decision making from a business standpoint, or is there more to it?
Vishnu, it's not a question of what the government believes or not. The question here is that the income tax authorities and the Enforcement Directorate have found massive anomalies. Now, it can't all be wished under the, cannot be explained away by saying that these were naive decisions taken by the ex-minister. Praful Patel himself is a businessman and a very successful one at that. Moreover, some of the decisions that were taken were strongly argued against by many people in the government. For example, the merger of Air India and Indian Airlines, I think even the average non-business person knew that it would not really work out. The suggestion that had been given is what was already mentioned earlier. You have a same managing director, but run them as separate entities. Also, other facts that have already come out, that the files moved at such lightning speed, they can't merely be just due to wrong decisions. It does seem prima facie that there have been certain other considerations that was a real reason behind why the minister took these decisions, and that is why they are questioning him. The routes was a very common knowledge. Many of us who used to travel on Air India, they had some of the best routes, especially from India and the Middle East and London, etc. We did question what happened to the routes, what happened to the timings, what happened to the convenience of taking Air India, which even today many people claim has some of the best food, etc., and very good service. But as has been explained earlier, the choice of routes is also made by people depending on the convenience of the routes.
Okay.
And it was very inexplicable that the Middle Eastern Airlines, the West Asian Airlines, were suddenly given routes that were formerly very profitable routes for Air India.
Okay, Captain
and
Panasan,
Air
you had a
India
point to
obviously
make.
lost out on that.
Ma'am, just
so
1 second. I just want to go across to Captain
all of
Panasan.
this, and it's not for us to immediately say
One
what
is the
reasons
route
behind
allocation to the private operator, and the other is the ordering 111 aircraft. This industry is basically run on the kickbacks. He ordered 111 aircraft and they don't need that aircraft. They have no money to buy the aircraft. They have taken the kickbacks which deposited in other countries. 3 days back,
but again, that's a serious allegation. I would urge you to be careful without evidence of this. Carry on.
I'll tell you, there's one magazine G
right
Files. He filed a suo motu appeal in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
He has mentioned all the details how the scam has taken place.
Right, but so anyhow. I mean, you allege that there are carry on.
Regarding the routes and all that, Air India cultures the route. And after we get the profit and this, how they transferred it to the private operator, we are not aware of it. Then there are freedom of flying and all that. Suppose Kuwait Airways does 3 flights to India, we have 1 flight because of shortage of pilots or aircraft. But in that case, when the more passengers flown by Air, they used to pay certain compensation to Air India. But after our Praful Patel, he took over, that commercial agreements were all cancelled. Even Air India, which was supposed to do international flight, Indian and domestic flight, when Air India was operating between Bombay and Delhi, domestic flight, they used to give certain percentage of passengers carried out by the airline to Indian Airlines.
Yes.
Those commercial agreements were cancelled overnight for reasons not known to us. That is one of the reasons we started suffering Indian Airlines.
Yeah.
Now this route allocation, you see, it has not been done with the proper thinking and all that. How it has to be done, and it is done for reasons known better to the Honourable Minister.
Captain Mohan Ranganathan, one of the other points is that when Air India and Indian Airlines were merged, it resulted in the creation of this behemoth with 30,517 employees or 214 employees per aircraft. Once this took place, wasn't this effectively the end of being able to run any profitable airline? Too many people per aircraft, workers.
You see, one thing, Air India and Indian Airlines, Air India did not have such large numbers initially, but Indian Airlines, it started in early 90s or about 88, when they started increasing, when they started the reservations for caste. What was the original plan was that you fill up the numbers as and when they came vacant. But here, they kept increasing more and more positions you created a number of posts which were not necessary. So you ended up having about 4 times the number of staff that you had. And in any public sector, you can't sack a person whether they are efficient or not efficient. So, and when they merged also, you'll find that they were paralleling of routes, like both Air India and Indian Airlines. Even though they were supposed to be one airline, you had them flying to Singapore, you had them flying to the same routes in the Gulf. And most important thing about the bilaterals, when you would sign a bilateral with a country, UAE is a single country.
Okay.
But during Praful Patel's time, they had a separate deal with Emirates, Etihad, and other. So you created a lot of deals there, and you gave away prime routes that Air India was using.
Yeah.
Like one example I can give is from Cochin, Bahrain, Doha was a gold mine for Indian Airlines. That was given away. And same way when Delhi, Dhaka was a gold mine for Indian Airlines, and that was given away to Jet. And then when they started that Chennai, Trichy, Sharjah, that I have a copy of the report which was done by an Air India commercial manager.
Yes.
That was submitted to headquarters, and 2 days later that route was allotted to SpiceJet. So there was a lot of, we couldn't understand why things were happening. The study was done, it was not as though Air India did not have qualified staff, but the qualified and the good people were suppressed, and you had only the chamchas and the yes men climbing up. Now, even after the deal, you see that Tulsi Das, who was part of Praful Patel trio to do all this mismanagement, now he's sitting as the director of Kannur Airport. So these babus who are holding positions, they never get, none of them are accountable. The reason why Air India is suffering today is because it is not just the ministry's failure, it is also the babus who were running that for the last 25 years.
Okay, I just want to go back to my colleague Arvind Gunasekara as we wrap this up. Arvind, in terms of the specific allegations of kickbacks, Deepak Talwar, an alleged lobbyist being involved in this, what are the specific allegations between him and Praful Patel?
Vishnu, before answering this particular question, I want to make one more point.
Yeah.
This case, ED can't initiate their own probe because in PMLA, ED has to rely on some agency's FIR. CBI has registered 3 FIR and ED has taken cognizance of those 3 FIRs and ED is probing just the money laundering angle. The corruption angle is still being probed by CBI. Whereas, what is the status of the CBI probe? Because as of now, CBI has not summoned anyone in this case. CBI has not filed any charge sheet. But Enforcement Directorate has filed a charge sheet in this case against Deepak Talwar, showing that he had received around 272 crores from 3 foreign airlines. But still, the same our sources in the Enforcement Directorate are saying that because why they didn't include Praful Patel as an accused in that particular charge sheet, because they don't have any evidences to show that Praful Patel was the end beneficiary of that 272 crore kickback. They have the evidences that 3 companies gave money to Deepak Talwar, but they don't have evidences that that particular money came to Praful Patel. And that's why now they have summoned Praful Patel for the questioning, and tomorrow the questioning is still continuing.
Okay, Captain Palliser, last point to you, yes.
Vishnu, I want to ask one question. Government appointed committees like CAG and COPUs, from time and again they have been informing the government and all that what's going wrong in the aviation. Whereas the ministry and the bureaucrats, they couldn't take any action. CAG has told them all these things what we are talking today, the scams right from the day one. Where is the government? Why the bureaucrats and ministry has not taken any action? CAG blames ministry for Air India mess. Everybody blames them. You may say they are not aware of it. I have met Vice Chairman of Niti Yog. He said, give me a turnaround plan. We gave it to him. I said, this is you please take action, but no action.
Yeah.
We met the ministers and all that. We explained them.
Yeah.
I say, involve veterans.
Yeah.
They will give a good opinion to us. This is our national carrier.
Yeah.
Suppose you want to privatize it, you give it to sell it to other man. He can be Malay, sell the airline to Abu and run away. Then what do you do?
All right.
He can also sell further. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can keep on further selling it?
Pooja, one last question to you. A decision taken 12 years ago for right or for wrong is essentially what is where Air India now stands. Would you agree? An airline which is broke at one level, depending on government doles. It's that one series of bad decisions which took place in 2007, which may in fact have doomed our national carrier. Would you agree with that assessment?
It certainly seemed to have played a very big role in the misfortunes and bad performance of the national carrier, the price of which is not only being borne by the airline, which in its heydays was an airline that even Singapore Airlines looked up to, but also the taxpayers of this country who were forced to shell out or who are left with the bill for all the mismanagement by the minister and the team of bureaucrats who do seem to have taken commercial decisions, but which did not work out as they had assured they would. And it's just unfortunate, and this is the reason why I feel that commercial enterprises in competitive markets where there are private players now, such as airlines, should be privatized. I don't think the public sector can run Air India and other enterprises.
Fair enough.
That
the question is, can Air India ever be
anymore.
privatized? What would that actually imply? No one really knows. But I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us. Very serious allegations against the former Civil Aviation Minister Praful Patel, being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate on a host of issues linked to the time when he was the minister. We'll keep tracking the story closely. For the moment, it's time for this short break.